Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fitness Business Growth. I'm here with Orlando. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Mate, how good's the internet? We've connected recently over our love of sales.
Yes, that's the best way to connect.
100%. So, guys, Orlando has sold multiple six figures of high ticket fitness. He had a six-figure month selling a US product for over $15,000 for a fitness offer. Now, for the gym owners at home playing along, I want that to sink in. We sell programs for 240, 300, 400 into a brick and mortar location, companies that are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Easy compared to doing 15K over the phone. So, mate, Orlando, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, mate, I'd love to hear about your transition into sales, your passion for sales, and I guess how did you end up going from not even knowing what high ticket was to selling a 15K product?
Yeah, so I'll try and condense it down so I don't bore you with the details. But essentially, it was 2020. I was like an 18-year-old kid, 19 years old, something like that. I was working at McDonald's, studying construction at university. And 4 weeks into my degree, COVID hit. We went online. I was like, this sucks. I don't even want to study construction. What am I doing?
I've
And
just
I
got
got
I've got to unpack it, mate. Why
a
construction? What made you go into that field?
Honestly, nothing other than my family and friends being like, hey, what are you going to do when you finish school? I had no passion for it, but my dad knew a guy who was his friend who made six figures doing it. And I was like, sweet, I guess I'll do that.
That's a crazy way to live, mate, that we just follow the thread and just don't ask questions, hey?
Yep. Yep.
So to be 18, 19, 20 years old, to be 4 weeks into a university degree and to think this not's for me, that's pretty fucking scary.
Yeah. I was just going with the flow. I was just going with the norm of society. And then when COVID hit and I went online, I was studying the modules and I was just bored to death. I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And yeah, I got those ads for making money online that you get.
Everyone gets.
Yeah, and it was from a guy that I'd been watching for quite a bit, and he helped me a lot, like just with personal struggles that I had in his content. And on his story, he made a post saying like, "Hey, do you have an extra few hours a week? Do you want to make a few $1,000s a month typing messages on social media?" I was like, "Sign me up." Um,
So,
and
Orlando, you're following the path. You're at university doing a respected degree, and now you're going to be sending DMs on the internet. How did
yeah,
the news go down with parents or people close to you that you were making this change?
good question. So I didn't tell them for about 2 months,
Why not?
as because I was shit scared of their judgment, and I was so afraid of what they were going to think.
And were you correct on their judgment? And what was the judgment at the time?
So by the time I told them, I'd already started making money. So my grandma was still probably kicking herself a little bit because she
Yeah.
was so used to the traditional way. My dad he was like, hey, if you think it's going to work, sweet. And my aunt was supportive. My grandma was a little bit more traditional though.
Yeah, it can be hard, man. Like going online and just, it is the exact opposite path that we're taught to go down in school. Like it's just, and there is no safety blanket. You just, it's online internet money. Anything can happen.
Yeah, it's like the wild, wild west. Especially when I was used to like $20 an hour. That's how you get paid. And then going to only getting paid for a sale was pretty different.
So when you bought the course, what was the basis of the course? What did it teach you, and how did it go?
So the course had nothing to do with what I ended up doing. The course was on copywriting, which I
Okay,
later I only realized looking back now.
it's an
But
important skill now with your content, mate.
yeah, well, when I joined, that's what it was, but I didn't know it. I didn't even know what I was joining. And then there was a group with a lot of other people who joined it. And from there was an agency that helped people grow their Instagram brand, but it
Yeah.
wasn't organic. It was through shout outs with celebrity campaigns and things like that. So I joined that program then, and I paid to join that program. So I paid to sell that offer. Um,
So, mate, I got to pause again. So you're at university.
yeah.
You know that your family will judge you. You're about to do a course. You don't even know what the fucking course is.
Yeah.
What made you take a leap? And why did you take that leap of faith?
So it sounds cliche, but my whole teenagehood, whatever you want to call it, as I was growing up, I was like, I just knew that I would do something fucking huge in my life. Like I just knew that I was going to do like big things. And when we went online with uni, it was the realization that I was like, shit, I'm not going to get there with this. Like, it has to be something else. So when that,
Where did that belief come from?
I don't know, maybe it was like my mum when I was like really little, her just being like, you're a superstar. I don't know, but I just always had a belief that, yeah, I don't know
When
why.
you were a teenager, I guess, who did you look up to? Who were your aspirational figures that made you even realize that there was more?
Yeah. So I didn't really have any. And probably because of that, I ended up getting arrested when I was like 16. And then my dad grounded me for 9 months. And in that,
That's a long time. Far out.
yeah, so I had nothing other to do than study, and he let me go to the gym. So I'd go to the gym before school. Woke up at like 4 a.m., rode to the gym, did that, trained, studied. Anyway, throughout that time, I found Jordan Peterson. So that was the first like self help book I ever read. Was 12 Rules for Life. So he
Yep.
was the main kind of guy that I looked up to when I was younger.
So you did the course, Instagram shout outs. What happened next?
So then I started cold DMing 50 to 100 people a day from my Instagram. Had no idea who I was, just a few photos of this 16-year-old or 18-year-old. And yeah, I'd get like maybe 4 responses, 5 responses. Maybe 1 to 2 of them would just think it was a scam. I'd try and get them on a call, and then I'd try and sell them.
Do you remember what the first message was that you sent? Any idea?
Oh, it was copy and paste. It was so
Yeah.
bad. Like, it was just like, hey, name, like, I see you're doing X things. Do you want to grow your Instagram? It was so bad.
And the promise was to grow X number of followers. Like what was it?
Yeah, so it was like 10 to 15,000 followers from a shout out.
Okay. And mate, can you please expand on what a shout out is? Because to be honest, I'm not exactly that sure what it is.
Yeah, so essentially the way it would work, you'd get an influencer that had like 1 million followers, whatever, and the company, the agency would pay them, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is, to do a shout out on their Instagram or a giveaway. So they'd be like, "Hey guys, I'm giving away a PlayStation 5. To get a chance to win, follow these people," and it'd be like a list of 20 people, and that's
Yep.
how they would get the
Okay.
followers for the shout outs.
Yeah. Very, very different to construction, mate.
Yeah, yeah, completely different.
Yeah. So imagine what people think on the outside. Orlando's flogging PS5s on the side
Yeah.
through other celebrities.
Yeah, well, so the thing is, the agency sorted all that out, and I was just like a rep for them, just sending DMs on their behalf and trying to close people.
And you sent DMs, you booked calls. At that point, did you even know that was a sales call? Or did you have any idea what like that process was like? Like, how did it go?
No idea. Like the first sales call I got on, I literally just tried to be their friend. Like, and I just tried to be really nice and be their friend, and I'd be like, "By the way, I do this thing, and it's $2,000, $3,000. Do you want to do it?" And got told no a lot of times. And then I started listening to calls from other people that were getting sales, and eventually learned, oh, okay, there's actually a process to this.
And at that point, being so young and so green, you weren't talking about, hey, like if you were to spend this on paid marketing, you'd pay $1 per follower. We can get you 15,000 followers for this investment. It was just like, hey, this is pretty cool. Do you want to do this?
It was pure selling the dream. Like the definition of it was like literally just getting them to picture in vivid detail what they wanted. And then I was like, cool, having more followers can help you do that.
Not too bad. And then from there, mate, so you've left construction, left your degree, you are sending 50 to 100 DMs a day, doing sales calls, failing miserably, listen to call recordings, realize there's a better way. And then
Yeah.
at some point, you then transitioned into high ticket.
Yeah. So then I found my first ever sales coach, which was a guy called Johnny Anton. So probably not many people know about him, but he
No,
was,
what year was this, mate?
that would have been 2021, started 2021. So he was a
Just,
sales
yeah,
coach for Jason Capital.
okay,
And I'm pretty sure they were in the similar circle as Alex Hormozy, actually, which is pretty cool because I found out about Hormozy back then when he had like 10,000 followers.
yeah.
And
Mate, I found out about Hermosi when he was doing gym launch when he had a big mustache.
oh, sick! Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
did his training, learned about high ticket sales, and he connected me to a YouTube automation offer. Long story short, didn't go that well. I actually bounced between a few offers for a bit as I was trying to figure out like what even is this space. I actually even went and sold Airbnb management just for a office here in Brisbane. And then
Yeah,
I
cool.
found out about NEPQ and Jayme Minor. And then that's when I like officially started selling like, okay, coaching, mentorship programs, online,
Yeah.
inbound lead. That was the first time.
Because at 2021, especially that point in time, like that's when NEPQ just went ballistic. And
Mm.
particularly in Australia, you had Matt and James at Sales Sniper, just absolutely. I actually had James Sackle on the podcast about an hour ago,
Oh, nice.
recounting the Sales Sniper story. Just wild, wild stuff. How fast that grew.
Yeah, yeah. When I was looking at it, a lot of their training, like when I'd go into the trainings, most of the people were actually selling high ticket. Like there was a few guys that were selling like insurance and more of the traditional roles, but it was mostly high ticket guys. And now it's completely changed.
High ticket didn't really exist in Australia. Like I didn't know it was an industry. Didn't know it didn't even know it existed until literally like Jeremy Minor popped up.
Yeah.
So you went through NEPQ. Was it like 2.0, 3.0? Like what was your process there?
No, so I did the Sales Sniper boot camp. So I
Okay.
did that for a month, and that got me like really good, really quick, I would say. Because
And
it's just so.
what was the Sales Sniper boot camp, and how did you accelerate your learning so fast?
So it was a month, and there were 5 trainings a week, plus the role plays that we do with the other guys in the group. But it was 5 trainings a week, and it was like step 1 was like the start of the script, and then also next chunk, and then eventually we got to objections, and then eventually we got to like full role plays. But it's just all condensed in a month.
And when you went into NEPQ and the offer after that, did you start setting? Were you on a triage, or were you straight to inbound high ticket?
I was inbound closing on a e-commerce coaching offer. So I did that for a few months. That was the first time I started to make like pretty decent money. Like I was making between 8 to 10K a month just doing that, pure inbound leads. And then from there, that's when I actually transitioned to the first fitness offer, which was the men's health one. That was the one that Laura Bruce, if you know her, she was actually a
Yep.
sales manager at the time. So I followed up with her for like 2 months straight to get that role. And yeah, transition from there. But I started off with closing.
And the men's health offer, it was between 5 to 15K. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was with James Can. I
Yeah,
think you know actually. Yeah,
mate.
yeah, that was.
Yeah, mate, James was at my wedding.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. So
yeah, I know
still engaged.
James pretty well. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool, mate. Well, let's stay here then. So,
yeah. Well,
mate, I love James, but he's a man who knows what he wants, which I
Hmm.
actually really like and really respect. So I imagine the KPIs there were pretty strong. You had a job to do. And
Yeah.
what was that experience like for you being in your first high ticket, I guess, fitness role?
It was really interesting because I think there was a little bit of hesitancy from them to bring me in the start because I was a young guy and I was selling to mostly like older guys, often tradies, business owners, maybe going through like breakups in their marriages. And here I am, this young kid. So I think there was a bit of hesitancy to bring me in. But the first month, I just worked so hard. I was just doing massive days. And I think that gained their respect because initially,
So if
um,
they had hesitancy, how did you feel about it?
I just backed myself, eh? I don't know why, but I was like, I don't care that like most of you guys are older. Like, I'll still come in and smash it because I have the right skills. That was the belief I had at the time.
Again,
So
mate, where does that belief come from? It just can't be from your mum, mate. It has to come from somewhere else.
yeah, I don't know, eh? I wish I had an answer. I don't know. I think I just watched a lot of content around, like Cristiano Ronaldo was another inspiration of mine. You asked me earlier. And I used to watch interviews of him where he just had like ridiculous amounts of confidence in himself. And maybe from a young age, like I just learned, like, okay, if you want to be a top performer, you have to just back yourself. You have to just believe in yourself. But I wish I had an answer of like, yes, it came from
Yeah.
this.
It's one
I
of
actually
those things where, like, people that are really confident or have lots of belief in themselves, sometimes it can come across as arrogance, but it's
don't.
the complete opposite. It is like you are willing to humble yourself, you are willing to do the work, you're willing to put yourself in bad positions, back against the wall, because you believe in yourself so much that you can get there, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And
Mm.
without that belief of getting there, that's why people don't start to begin with. And that's why people stay in the same fucking job for 40 years and hate their life.
I actually think if you can learn that skill, it'll help you so much, because that, like, there's always going to be points where you have to have faith that it's going to work out, and you have no logical reason to believe so, but you just have to believe. And that's helped me a lot.
For me, mate, being a big Hormozy fan, right? He hates bundled terms. Like, what is
Yeah.
belief if everything's a skill?
Mm.
So, how we define belief as a skill? And then
Mm.
I would think it would be perseverance, but then what is perseverance? And then I would think it would come down to you are just willing to put the fucking work in.
Mm.
And how when I sold on that original high ticket offer next to Brooke, who I think is one of the best closers in the world, I listened to her calls and they were phenomenal. They were some of the best things I've ever heard. But at the same time, I thought she's saying words that I can say. Like, it's
Yeah.
you look around and you realize that the people that you do look up to, the people that are aspirational, they have 2 arms, 2 legs, breathe oxygen, and you
Mm.
realize that, like, hey, they were just like you at some point, and they just put the work in.
Yeah, I agree. I think I learned that I think I learned that quite early as well, because when I was selling my first few offers, I was actually working with pretty wealthy guys, like guys that were making millions of dollars a year. But when we had our meetings, I realized, oh, they're just people as well, like what you were saying. I just realized, oh, they're into normal shit as well. They're no different than me. They just know certain things. They've done certain things that have helped them get there.
So being around wealthy people, being in your early 20s, multiple millions of dollars, how did that make you feel knowing that you left a safe construction career and took a chance?
It made me, it just like doubled down, or it helped me realize, yes, I was right for having the belief that there's a better way out there, because I could just see people doing it right in front of me. Like, I always had that belief to an extent, but then like seeing it in people, it made it more real for sure.
Just, yeah, actually knowing it exists. Like, you see their Stripe account, you see their bank account, because it's very easy to think that all of it's bullshit, because lots of it is. But there are
Yeah.
real people out there making extraordinary amounts of money, and you'd have no idea.
Well, what was interesting is when I meet these people, it's like I would, when they were so normal with me, I was like skeptical. I was like, are you actually making that much money? Because you don't seem that different to me. And then when I
Yeah.
find out they are, I was like, oh, you are. You're just normal, just like everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I've shared this story before, but I'm going to share it again. It's probably the number one driver in my life. So I work for Centrelink.
Okay.
Obviously, you're in Australia, so I
Yeah.
helped people get family tax benefit, parenting payment, and childcare rebate. So I was in a call center. I'd be on the phone 9 hours a day. It was like ring, ring, ring. Where's me fucking payment? Like, it was that phone call 9 hours a day, and I was fucking miserable. I'm not going to use the D word, but I was as low as I've ever been in my life. And about 3 months before I left there, I was looking for other jobs. I took a job at Fitness First in Chatswood, half price, half pay, 20 hours of commuting, and I've never been happier leaving that fucking job. And
Yeah.
that's like the biggest thing I think about at all times. Like, I'm not going back to that place. So, like,
Mm.
send the email, make the call, make the ad, because that's like my biggest fear in the world is just going back to that fucking job.
I think you just helped me realize one of the motivations for me, which was when I was working at McDonald's, I genuinely hated working there, because it was like every morning I'd get up, I didn't want to get up, I just wanted to go back to sleep, and I'd get myself there. I was surrounded by people that, like, that was just normal. I was surrounded by like older managers where like they'd accepted they were just going to work at Macca's for the rest of their life. And I'd be like, hey, welcome to McDonald's. How can I get you? In the drive-through on my own, talking to people, ordering Maccas, and I just, yeah, I actually hated that job, and I think that also drove me to just find
Yeah.
something else.
And again, that doesn't come from a place of arrogance, like you're above that. It's just not for you. It's not for me. And if you love that, then go for your life. But I
Mm.
left February 2012. It's seared into my brain. And people that I really like, really respect, were friends with, are still on that fucking phone.
Yeah,
And they hated the job 13 years ago. So I can't
yeah,
imagine how much they hate it today.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if that many people actually are happy with it. I think people just kind of accept it. Maybe it's also because they don't know what else is out there. Um, but yeah, that also drove.
Yeah, I often think that, right? Like, if people, so our friends, so I work with my best friend from high school. His name's Mitch. And our friends think that we got a pretty good lifestyle. They understand we work from home. We've had gyms. We had the middle of the day off. Lakers are playing Dallas right now. I'm going to watch it after.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of understand that we have like a really good lifestyle, but not
Mm.
to the extent that it actually is. And what I mean by that is, like, if they saw our day to day, what we actually did, I think a lot more people would be truly envious of not having to fucking commute to work, having the
Mm.
ability to work from home, set their own hours, open their own calendar, earn more money, hire people. It's just like, once you see the light, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, like I'm gonna sound like an absolute wanker, but when I talk to people that have those jobs, I actually get reminded, oh shit, that's what normal life is like. Like if I want to do something on a Wednesday during the day, like, oh, I can't, man, I got work. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
exactly. I sound like a wank. I sound like a wanker when I say this, but I forget that when I go to like a Westfield, people are actually at work and they fucking hate it. I actually
yeah.
forget that like everyone in that place is working, and the vast majority of them are really unhappy. So it's literally the number one driver in my life is just never having a job that I hate, because when I had that job that I hated, I was not fun to be around. I was snappy, I was moody, I was cranky, and just not a person I want to be.
Do you think you would still have the same level of drive if you didn't have that experience? If you actually never experienced a bad job that you hated?
Nah, no way in hell.
Mm.
No way in hell. It was that pivotal for me, mate, because like I can't even describe just, and the thing is too, the hours were good. I would start at 7:50 and finish at 3:20. I was 19 years old, earning $70,000 a year. I was on the path. I was
Yeah.
going to Woodport, going to Terrigal, going to the beer garden, drinking, partying, playing AFL, doing all those things. But I fucking hated my life. And
Mm.
then best friend from high school, Mitch, in business today with, we'd go to the gym every night at 7:30. How's your job? Yeah, it's all right, mate. It's not too bad. Like, how's your job? Yeah, yeah, it's not too bad. And one night he just said, "How's your job?" And I said, "I fucking hate that place." And then
Yeah.
once I said those words out loud, you can't take them back. And
Yeah.
like, it's just like, I hope that anyone listening that hates their job, that there is a way to get out.
That's one of the things my first mentor taught me was words are like toothpaste. Once they come out, they can't go back in. And as
Yeah,
silly
mate.
as it's like that's what we help people do on sales calls as well, right? When we get people to say it out loud, that's what makes them actually realize how much they hate it.
Yeah. So I lied to myself for 3 years, mate, and it was just, even I can see in other people too. I can see it in other people when I talk to them. Oh, what's happening tomorrow? Oh, got to go to work, and fucking Susie's doing this, and Megan's doing that, and it's just more to life than that. And I think
Yeah.
that like if people actually had the belief in themselves to pursue something else, or were more open minded, or
Mm,
didn't think everything was a scam, or didn't think that this 24-year-old kid who worked at McDonald's is fucking lucky, I think
mm,
they'd probably get there a lot faster.
yeah, especially in Australia, we're the most skeptical motherfuckers in the world. Like, yeah,
They really are. So, mate, I want to talk about high ticket fitness sales in particular. So, for James, you were selling a 6 month program or a 12-month program,
yes, a 6 month for like 95% of the time. I
and was
sold
it
one 15K package that was yearly.
and was it over the phone or on Zoom?
Mostly Zoom, like 90% Zoom. I did a few over the phone, but mostly Zoom.
Okay. So, what I want to really unpack now is 6 week challenge for F45, $360, access to the gym, unlimited sessions. There's a toilet, there's a shower there, and the vast majority of fit pros think they can't sell that over the phone or online. They think they have to invite them in. We know that affects show up rates and the next step and all that stuff. So how the fuck did you sell like such an enormously high priced item,
Yeah.
effectively fitness, making them feel better over the phone?
If someone's problem and gap is big enough, then you'd be surprised how resourceful people get. I had a guy the other day that had no money to his name, and the gap was big enough that he went and got a loan from his mum for it. You know, I think if you can build the gap for people and the emotional gap and the pain, and you really actually have them understand how bad it is and how much better life would be, you can't really put a price to that. Like if someone is depressed because they're overweight, they're tired all the time, they can't spend time with their kids, like that's the most important part of life for a lot of people. And if you can have them realize that, they spend 20, 50, $100,000 on a car, it's like to make themselves feel happier, you're asking for 5 to 10K. Like,
Yeah, I know. And like we all say that there's nothing more important than your health. If that's
mm,
true, then they're willing to pay more.
yeah,
And it's amazing when I talk to gym owners, mate, and their prices are $40. I'm like, hey, you got to get that fucking thing up to 60. They're like,
mm,
oh, $60. Like Anytime Fitness, $20. I can have a shower and shit there 7 days a week. That's a fucking red hot deal. Like, I cannot believe you don't see the value like I do.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of the time people buy into the stories of the prospects and the clients that don't sign up. So like maybe because they didn't learn sales well enough, they buy into the fact that, oh, they don't actually have the money. And that's why they aren't confident to increase their prices. When in reality, it's just maybe a sales issue. So I think
Yeah.
that happens.
Or everyone wants class packs. You mean that one person that you remember wants class packs and now you think
Yeah.
everyone does?
Yeah.
It's so easy for us to think about that one person, the one person who asks for class packs, and then all of a sudden you restructure your whole business because of it.
Yeah.
So when people hear 15K or 10K or 5K for a high ticket fitness offer, they think that they must get the world to charge that. And don't get me wrong, the programs are good, people do get results. But what did a typical high ticket fitness program include that you were selling? Just to drive it home to these gym owners that what they have is fucking awesome.
Yeah, well, in James's offer, it was like for the 5K one, I believe it was a fortnightly check-in that they would have, and they got access to the app, which had some daily habits that they would build and some information and things like that. Other than that, it was the accountability. For the 15K one I sold, that was a weekly check-in. That was the main difference, and it was with a coach that had more experience and maybe had more background and skills. So that kind of led to the higher price point. And then on other fitness offers that I've sold, um, a typical package, if it was like 3 to 5K, it was a weekly check-in, 15 minutes over the phone, and DM access support with a meal plan and a workout plan. Nothing crazy.
And then compare that to actually going to a facility for 45 minutes. There's a trainer in front of you, potentially 6 days a week. Like, how valuable is that?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
They
just for it.
have lots of videos on the app showing them how to do a workout. No, it's not in
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
So speak to the Orlando who was in construction first semester to the person that sold 15 grand over the phone for fitness. Like, can you even imagine that was even in the realm of possibility?
Not at the time. I had no idea. I mean, like I said, I knew that I would. I just always knew that I would do something really fucking big, but I didn't know what. I didn't know how. And yeah, when I was first selling for $2,000, $3,000 Instagram packages to then sell fitness for like 15K, I still remember that call actually. I just remember finishing it. He paid, and I put the laptop down. I was like, holy fuck, I just got someone to pay $15,000. I was like, what the heck? How? Like, I was
Yeah.
even in disbelief. And then I was like, oh, this is possible. Like, it happens. But yeah, it was definitely different.
Why has your passion for sales grown and grown and grown to the point that you now want to teach people how to sell and to create that laptop lifestyle that the majority of young men want?
Because of what it actually did for me outside of sales. It actually just made me a better person and a better man. Like, I've still got ways to go for sure, but compared to who I was when I first started, loser, low confidence, like just a shadow, like a shell of who I am today. Just even how I'd present myself, how I'd speak, the conversations I have with family. Before it would just be me talking all the time, not asking many questions, not actually being interested in other people's lives. And then through sales, it's like now I'm just genuinely interested in people's lives and their background. And it leads to me asking better questions. And then people have more respect for me. They want to hang out with me more. Like I have better conversations. So just everything it did for me outside of sales, it also gave me the financial freedom to go travel, to work remote, to have time freedom. to go and get a haircut at midday if I want to, and not have to like schedule it in on the weekend. And my Friday, Saturday, Sunday is just like super jam packed that I'm like booked out weeks in advance. It's like that
Yeah.
freedom that it gave me. That's
Yeah.
what changed.
And I think at the core, everyone becomes an entrepreneur for time freedom.
Mm.
There's nothing more important. Like, it's just, I can't think of anything worse than having to be somewhere at a time where you want to be doing something else. Like, I've had people miss weddings because they had to work on a Thursday night. Like, it's a fucking wedding. Like, surely you can close your calendar.
Yeah. For me, it's the choice, because it's like you might be similar as well. Like, we probably still work quite a lot, but it's being able to do it when we want that I think is really important. Like, sometimes it'll be a Friday night and I'll work until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock because I want to. But it's the
Yeah.
choice that I think makes a big difference.
Oh, mate, I work way harder now than I did at Centrelink. Way harder. Way harder. But you're right. It's like, so I'm having a baby in 4 weeks, terrified. But the ability for me to be at every single appointment over the last 9 months, just to close my calendar off and go, is really important. And also just the first 2 weeks of when the baby arrives. But something actually Jayme said to me stuck out, and I'll never forget it. He said, Jayme, the majority of guys I coach just never see their fucking kids because they're in the mines, and they leave work get up at 6, get home at 6, and baby's in bed. And I just thought, what a terrible existence to live. Like the fact that you don't see your kids. And my business partner, Mitch, had a kid the last 18 months, and I've seen it firsthand, just how much time he spent with Darby and how much time I spent with Darby. And just we take him to the park and we play. And lots of the mums say that like the dad can't actually take the kid because the kids barely know them and they just cry. Like, it's just, think about that. You work so hard throughout the week. You never see your kids. Saturday morning, you want the kid to give your mum a break and the kid won't go. Like, that's not living.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any kids that I know of, so I can't relate to that extent. But yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So, mate, tell me more about the Closers program that you're running. How do you help people? How do you place them in roles? And what are you looking for when someone comes into your program? Because I have a lot of gym owners in my network that actually love sales, just like me. They love fitness, love health, love fitness. But if they could just market and sell, that's what they'd prefer to do. But
Yeah.
maybe right now they don't have the skills.
Yeah. So it's called Closers Colt because I want a cult of guys that just want to be excellent at sales. And I typically look for young guys that are just like hungry. Like for example, I had a few guys recently that I put onto offers, and from day one, they came in and set new standards for the company, which is like top dials, top effort. And it's like, that's what I want the reputation to be of the guys that I place and that work with me. So guys, like, typically it's the younger version of me. Like, they want more from life, they want more freedom, they want more time, and they need a vehicle to do that. And I think for a young guy, there's no better vehicle than sales to do that, because it helps you in every aspect of life. You're basically an entrepreneur when you're a commission only salesperson. You're basically running your own business without all of the risks that come with running a business. And you learn a skill that will help you for the rest of your life, no matter what you do. So those are typically the guys that I work with.
It is the meta skill. It is the skill that unlocks all other skills. If you can't communicate at a high level, what chance do you have?
Like, literally, just a bit off topic, but just earlier I was booking a hotel in the Gold Coast, and I got $3,000 off of it because of, some sales skills that I learned. Now, was some of it just like out of control? She might have given me a bit of a discount anyway, but like, maybe. But overall, like, that skill just applying to a random scenario of me just calling her up, just being completely different to every other person that calls and makes a booking, to getting that discount. Like, just a random scenario. And that literally just happened today.
The only time I've used my sales powers for evil, I tore my ACL about 2 days before a trip to Thailand. And I was on the plane. My knee was swollen. It was the size of a basketball. I had a crutch. I was sitting in the first row in economy with the extra leg room. The bathroom was like 100 meters behind me. So I didn't want to hobble down the plane with one crutch. Would have fallen over. Would have been painful. Would have been embarrassing. I love Chris Voss. Never Split the Difference, one of my favorite sales books. Lady comes up to me, said, "Hey, would you be opposed to me just using the using the first class bathroom there because of my knee. It's like, oh, absolutely not, sir. No problems at all. Be my guest, but your wife can't use it. Just like, so it's just that question, just little things. Would you be opposed? Like just the cadence, drawing out your words, making it land well. It even helps you communicate with your partner. Like it helps everything, every aspect.
My favorite one from Chris Voss is when you go, "You're gonna hate me for this," or "You're gonna think I'm an idiot." Like, just I love using that. I use that all the time.
You set the frame for a soft landing.
Yeah.
Cool. So Orlando, super impressive, mate. The fact of how young you are. I'm 36, man. I feel like an old man now, but like your level of maturity from 18 to quit your construction degree, to go against a grade, to go against your parents, to start sending DMs, to start calling people, to getting on offers, to starting your own training program. It's super, super fucking impressive, mate. So if you're a young guy out there who wants to sell and join a cult, and I use the word cult in the best possible way, get around high-performing men and you will become a high-performing man. It's as simple as that. Definitely check out Orlando. But mate, thank you so much for coming on today.